Move out of my way. Do you not see I'm trying to get through here? 22-year-old Vanessa Brooks shoved past the woman standing in the security line at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, not caring that she'd nearly knocked her over. The woman stumbled slightly, but caught herself, her expression remaining neutral, despite the aggressive push. "Excuse me, there's a line," the woman said calmly. She was probably in her 40s, wearing casual civilian clothes, jeans, and a simple navy blue jacket, with dark hair pulled back in a no-nonsense ponytail. Vanessa whirled around, her designer sunglasses perched on her head, her expensive carry-on bag swinging dangerously close to other passengers. "I don't care about the line. I have priority boarding. I'm first class. That means I get to go first everywhere, not just on the plane." Several people in line exchanged uncomfortable glances. The TSA agent at the front of the line looked up, clearly debating whether to intervene. "That's not how airport security works," the woman replied evenly. "Everyone goes through in order, regardless of ticket class." Vanessa laughed, a sharp, cruel sound that echoed through the terminal. "Oh my God! Are you seriously trying to tell me how things work? Look at you. You probably fly basic economy once a year for vacation. I fly first class every week. I think I know more about airports than you do." She looked the woman up and down with exaggerated disdain. "And seriously, those jeans. That jacket?" "Do you shop at discount stores? Because you look like you can't afford anything decent." The woman's jaw tightened slightly, but her voice remained calm. "My clothes aren't relevant to the security line." "Everything is relevant when you're trying to school your betters," Vanessa shot back. She turned to the other passengers, playing to an audience. "Can you believe this? Some random nobody trying to tell me what to do. This is why I hate flying domestic. You have to deal with people who don't understand how the world actually works." An older gentleman behind them spoke up. "Miss, she's right. We all need to wait our turn." Vanessa rolled her eyes dramatically. "Oh, great. Now everyone's a security expert. Look, I have a very important meeting in Los Angeles. I'm a social media influencer with 3 million followers. My time is literally worth more than yours. So yes, I'm cutting the line. Deal with it." The woman in the navy jacket stepped slightly to the side, but didn't move out of her spot in line. "I understand you have somewhere important to be. So do many people here. But we all follow the same rules." "Rules are for regular people," Vanessa said, her voice dripping with condescension. "I'm not regular people. Do you have any idea who I am? I get paid $50,000 per sponsored post. I've been featured in Vogue. I've walked red carpets with A-list celebrities. What have you done with your life? Based on those clothes, I'm guessing nothing impressive." She pulled out her phone and started recording. "You know what? This is going on my stories. My followers need to see what I have to deal with. Entitled people who think they can hold up important individuals." She turned the camera on the woman. "Look at this lady, everyone. She's trying to block me from getting through security. Probably jealous that she'll never have the kind of life I have. Probably bitter about her boring existence." The woman looked directly at the camera, her expression unreadable. "You might want to put that away." "Or what? You'll sue me? Good luck with that. You probably can't even afford a lawyer." A TSA supervisor had been watching the situation develop and finally decided to step in. He approached quickly, his expression stern. "Ma'am, I need you to stop harassing other passengers and return to your place in line." Vanessa turned her venom on him. "Are you kidding me right now? She's the one holding up the line. I'm trying to get through, and she's playing security guard." The supervisor looked at the woman in the navy jacket, and something passed between them, a slight nod of recognition. The supervisor's entire demeanor shifted from stern to respectful. "Commander, I apologize for this disruption." Vanessa's phone nearly slipped from her hand. "Commander, what are you talking about?" The woman finally allowed herself a small, tight smile. "I was trying to handle this quietly. But since you've been recording everything for your 3 million followers, let's make sure they get the full story. She reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a military ID card, holding it up so Vanessa's camera could capture it clearly. Commander Sarah Mitchell, United States Navy. 22 years of service. Currently assigned to Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base, Fort Worth. Vanessa's face went white. Around them, passengers who'd been watching with disapproval now looked at her with outright disgust. Commander Mitchell wasn't finished. Those jeans you mocked? I'm wearing them because I've been on leave visiting my mother who's recovering from surgery. I've spent the last 2 weeks helping her through physical therapy. That discount store jacket. It was a gift from my daughter before my last deployment to the Middle East. I wear it because it reminds me of her when I'm away from home for months at a time. She stepped closer to Vanessa, her military bearing suddenly very apparent despite the casual clothes. You asked what I've done with my life. I've served my country for over 2 decades. I've flown combat missions in 3 different war zones. I've commanded squadrons. I've trained the next generation of naval aviators. And I've done it all while earning about 1/10 of what you make per sponsored post. Vanessa's hands were shaking. Her phone was still recording, but now she desperately wanted to turn it off. The story she was creating for her followers was turning into a nightmare. The TSA supervisor spoke up again. Commander Mitchell is traveling on official orders, ma'am. She's returning to her post after emergency leave. The rules still apply, which is why she's waiting in line like everyone else. But perhaps you'd like to reconsider who you've been disrespecting. Other passengers started speaking up, their anger at Vanessa now freely expressed. You should be ashamed of yourself. This woman serves our country, and you're mocking her clothes. I hope your followers see what kind of person you really are. Vanessa looked around wildly, realizing she was surrounded by hostile faces. Her carefully crafted image of a confident, successful influencer was crumbling in real time, all being captured on her own phone. I didn't know, she stammered. I couldn't have known. Couldn't have known what? Commander Mitchell interrupted. That I was military? Would it have mattered? Would you have treated me better if I'd been wearing a uniform? Or would you have found something else to mock? She gestured at the other passengers. What about them? How do you know that elderly gentleman you dismissed isn't a retired doctor who saved lives? How do you know that woman over there isn't a teacher who shapes young minds? How do you know anyone's worth based on their clothes or where they sit on a plane? Vanessa tried to turn off her phone, but her hands were shaking too badly. I'm sorry, You're sorry you got caught, Commander Mitchell said, flatly. You're sorry that this is being recorded, but you're not sorry for your actual behavior, because this is clearly how you normally act. An airport police officer had been radioed and arrived on scene. He took one look at the situation and addressed the TSA supervisor. What's the situation here? The supervisor explained quickly, pointing out Vanessa's aggressive behavior and harassment of other passengers, including Commander Mitchell. The officer turned to Vanessa. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step aside. You're disrupting security operations and harassing passengers. But my flight! I'll miss my flight! Should have thought of that before you started causing problems, the officer said. He looked at Commander Mitchell. Ma'am, would you like to file a formal complaint? Commander Mitchell considered for a moment, looking at Vanessa's terrified face. No complaint. But I think this young woman needs to understand some things about the world she lives in. She addressed Vanessa directly. I protect your right to make those $50,000 posts. I protect your right to walk red carpets and live your influencer life. I and thousands of others in uniform sacrifice time with our families, risk our lives, and serve in difficult conditions so that you can enjoy the freedom to build whatever life you want. And this is how you treat people, by assuming you're better than everyone because you have money and followers. Vanessa was openly crying now, her makeup running. I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. You meant every word. The only thing you didn't mean was for there to be consequences. The officer spoke again. Ma'am, you're going to miss your flight regardless at this point. You have two choices. You can come with me voluntarily to answer some questions about your behavior, or I can detain you for disrupting airport operations. Your choice. Vanessa looked at her phone, still recording, and finally managed to turn it off. But it was too late. Several other passengers had been recording too. Within minutes, multiple angles of her meltdown would be all over social media. "I'll come voluntarily," she whispered. As the officer led her away, Commander Mitchell returned to her place in line. The passenger behind her, the elderly gentleman who'd spoken up earlier, tapped her shoulder. "Thank you for your service, Commander, and I'm sorry you had to deal with that." "Thank you, sir. Unfortunately, it's not the first time, and it won't be the last. Some people just need to learn that respect isn't about what you wear or how much money you have." The line moved forward, and Commander Mitchell went through security without any further incident. But the incident itself was far from over for Vanessa Brooks. In the airport security office, Vanessa sat across from the police officer and an airport operations manager. Her phone kept buzzing with notifications. Against her better judgment, she checked it. The video had already gone viral. Not her carefully edited version, but the raw footage from other passengers. The comments were brutal. "Influencer culture is toxic. Imagine thinking you're better than a Navy commander. This is what privilege looks like. Cancel her. Unfollow. This is disgusting." Brands were already pulling sponsorships. Her agent had called 3 times. Her follower count was dropping by the thousands every minute. The operations manager spoke first. "Miss Brooks, you're being banned from this airport for 30 days. If you cause any similar disturbances at any airport in our network, that ban will become permanent. But I have to fly. My whole business depends on traveling. You should have considered that before harassing military personnel and other passengers," the officer said. "You're lucky Commander Mitchell didn't want to press charges. Harassment of military members can be prosecuted under federal law." Vanessa put her head in her hands. Her entire world was collapsing. 3 million followers meant nothing when they were all turning against her. Money meant nothing when no brand would work with her. First-class tickets meant nothing when she was banned from flying. "What do I do?" she asked quietly. "How do I fix this?" The operations manager softened slightly. "You start by understanding what you did wrong. Really understanding it, not just being sorry you got caught. You disrespected someone who serves this country. You judged people based on their clothes. You acted like your money and fame made you superior. Those aren't just mistakes, those are character flaws. But everyone does it. Everyone judges people. That's what social media is." "Maybe that's the problem," the officer said. "Maybe we've created a culture where that kind of behavior is normalized. But that doesn't make it right." He stood up. "You're free to go, Miss Brooks. But I suggest you use this time to think about what kind of person you want to be. The kind who tears others down to feel superior? Or the kind who builds others up?" Vanessa left the security office in a daze. She had to book a flight for the next day from a different airport, costing her thousands of dollars for the last-minute ticket. She missed her important meeting. She lost 3 major sponsorships by the end of the day. But worse than all of that was opening social media and seeing herself through everyone else's eyes. The entitled, cruel, privileged influencer who mocked a Navy. Commander's clothes. The comments weren't wrong. She had been all those things. That night, in her hotel room, Vanessa did something she hadn't done in years. She turned off her phone completely and sat in silence. No content creation. No follower engagement. No performance for an audience. Just her and her thoughts. She thought about Commander Mitchell, who'd served for 22 years while Vanessa had spent those same years perfecting her selfie angles and hunting for sponsorships. She thought about the jacket that was a gift from the commander's daughter, Worn during deployments when mother and child were separated by oceans and danger. She thought about the elderly gentleman in line, and the woman, and all the other people she routinely dismissed as regular people. People with lives and struggles and worth that had nothing to do with their clothes or their ticket class. For the first time in her adult life, Vanessa felt truly ashamed. Not embarrassed about being caught, not worried about her career, but genuinely ashamed of who she'd become. The next morning, she recorded a video. No filters, no makeup, no perfect lighting. Just her face, puffy from crying, sitting in a basic hotel room. I need to address what happened yesterday at the airport. Many of you have already seen the videos. All of them show exactly what happened. I was cruel, entitled, and disrespectful to a Navy commander and other passengers. I judged people based on their clothes. I acted like my money and followers made me superior. I was wrong. She took a shaky breath. I can't blame influencer culture. I can't blame social media. I made choices. I chose to treat people badly. I chose to value appearance over character. I chose to believe that success gave me the right to look down on others. Those were my choices, and they were wrong. I'm taking a break from social media, not because of cancel culture, not because I'm hiding, but because I need to figure out who I want to be. The person I've become is someone I'm ashamed of, and that needs to change. She posted the video and then deleted all her social media apps. No more checking follower counts. No more obsessing over engagement. No more performing for an audience. 3 months later, Vanessa stood outside the Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base, Fort Worth. She'd written to Commander Mitchell's commanding officer, requesting permission to apologize in person. It had taken weeks to get approval, security, clearances, and an appointment. Now she waited nervously in the visitor center, wearing simple jeans and a plain jacket. Her hair was natural, no extensions. Her face had minimal makeup. She looked more like the commander she'd insulted than the influencer she'd been. Commander Mitchell appeared in uniform, and Vanessa felt her breath catch. This was what real accomplishment looked like. The rows of ribbons on her chest, each one earned through service and sacrifice. The rank insignia showing 2 decades of dedication. The professional bearing of someone who'd chosen a life bigger than herself. Miss Brooks? Commander Mitchell, thank you for agreeing to see me. They sat in a small conference room. Vanessa had prepared a speech, but looking at the commander now, all her carefully planned words seemed inadequate. I was terrible to you, she said simply. I judged you based on your clothes. I mocked your appearance. I treated you like you were beneath me. And you were gracious. Enough not to press charges, even though you could have. I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I needed you to know that I understand what I did. Really understand it. Commander Mitchell studied her for a long moment. What changed? Everything. I lost sponsorships, followers, opportunities. But more than that, I lost my sense of who I was. I'd built my entire identity on being better than other people, and it was hollow. When it all collapsed, there was nothing underneath. No real substance. No real character. She pulled out a folder. I've spent the last 3 months volunteering at veterans organizations, helping at food banks, working with homeless shelters. I'm not doing it for content. I deleted my accounts. I'm doing it because I needed to understand what service actually means. She handed the folder to Commander Mitchell. Inside were letters from the organizations she'd worked with, documenting her volunteer hours and contributions. I can't undo what I did, Vanessa continued. I can't take back those words or that behavior, but I can choose to be different going forward. I can choose to be someone who builds others up instead of tearing them down. Commander Mitchell flipped through the folder, her expression softening slightly. These are impressive. Consistent effort over 3 months. That shows commitment. It's shown me what I should have known all along. That worth isn't measured in followers or money. It's measured in how you treat people. in what you contribute, in whether you make the world better or worse. The commander closed the folder and looked at Vanessa directly. I accept your apology, Miss Brooks, not because of the volunteer work, though that matters, but because I can see that you've genuinely tried to change. That's rare. Most people just apologize and move on without doing the actual work of becoming better. Vanessa felt tears forming. Thank you. That means more than you know. I'm going to tell you something my commanding officer told me when I was a young officer and made a significant mistake. He said that our worst moments don't define us unless we let them. What defines us is what we do after those moments. You had a terrible moment at that airport. You showed the worst of who you were. But what you've done since shows the potential of who you can become. She stood up, extending her hand. Use that potential wisely, Miss Brooks. The world has enough people tearing others down. It needs more people building others up. Vanessa shook her hand, feeling the firm grip of someone who'd spent decades in service. I will. I promise. As she left the base, Vanessa felt something she hadn't felt in years. Not the hollow satisfaction of likes and followers, not the temporary high of a successful post, but real peace. The peace of knowing she was on the right path, even if that path was harder and less glamorous than the one she'd been on before. She never returned to full-time influencer work. Instead, she got a regular job and volunteered in her free time. She used her platform experience to help veterans organizations with their social media presence, but always behind the scenes, never seeking credit or recognition. Sometimes people recognized her as that girl from the airport video. Some were judgmental, some were cruel. But increasingly, people who knew her through her volunteer work would defend her. That was 3 years ago. She's completely different now. She's helped our organization raise thousands of dollars. She shows up every week, no cameras, no publicity, just genuine service. And slowly, Vanessa rebuilt her life on a foundation of substance rather than appearance. Not as an influencer, not as someone special or privileged, but as someone who'd learned the hard way that respect, worth, and character couldn't be bought or performed. They had to be earned through consistent, genuine effort to be a better person. The girl who'd mocked a Navy commander's clothes was gone. In her place stood a woman who understood that true honor came not from what you wore or how much money you had, but from how you treated others and what you contributed to the world around you. And every time she put on her own simple jacket and jeans to go volunteer, she thought about Commander Mitchell wearing her daughter's gift during deployments. That reminder of love and sacrifice. That symbol of what really mattered. That was the person Vanessa wanted to be. Not someone above others, but someone among them, working together to make things better, one act of service at a time.